just going to do an update. Back on September, I put in this video whenever this happened. It was a prophecy that God showed me before, back in 2017, that had 6.1 tsunami in Venezuela, and we kind of went over it. We didn't really know what it was going to be about, but we had kind of an inkling that it would have something to do with war, and I stated that in this. Um, and also, I'd also put in here that it probably had something to do with Israel as well, because everything he shows me is somehow tied to Israel, or Israel gets tied to it. So let me play this little clip here from the video that I put in there, and I will put a link to this video in the description box so that you can go back and watch it again if you want to. Saying is, whenever you see this in the news, pay attention to those areas that he showed us on the map. And there's a lot of stuff going on down there, and we've had so much other stuff in the news, like with the Charlie Kirk assassination, and and us watching Israel really close with the UN, what all the countries turning on Israel, like the Bible prophesied. Bible scholars has been watching all of that, and their attention's been over there. But for some reason, God's wanting us to pay attention to this as well, because these countries down there in that area, they voted for Palestine state too. So I mean, it's all, everything that God shows me, it's somehow all linked back to his land over there as well too. But there's something going on, because the United States is looking like they're going to end up striking Venezuela because of all of the drug trafficking that's been coming into the United States. And if you'll remember, here a while back, a couple of years ago, the Venezuela gangs that was taking over towns and stuff like that, and taking over apartment complexes, running people out of their homes and everything here in the United States. It was happening here in the United States. It was on the news, but a lot of people missed it because they're so tied in to just whatever's happened politically. Okay, so I just wanted to play a little clip there. I also go over here too that it looks like the war was going to start coming out of all of this stuff. And whenever this earthquake happened, it was right whenever nobody was really paying much attention to anything that was going on in Venezuela. I didn't even know what was going on down there or anything. It was whenever Trump was very first, like barely like moving into that area down there, and over the drug trafficking and stuff. And also, I do believe that it is tied to that prophecy that God gave me about watching the Atlantic with the submarine, which I go over that a little bit. I touched that on that in this video too as well, that I had made back in September. But what I wanted to show is now Israel's name is coming up in this, even though it was the United States that went down there and captured that leader down there in Venezuela. Now the new leader in Venezuela is accusing Israel. So let's watch this right here, this little clip right here. This is an Israeli news TV, and they're live right now. Hopefully,
LTV on the hour. We're live from Israel, bringing you the biggest headlines of the region. It's currently 7 a.m. in New York and 2 p.m. here in Israel. I'm Lidar Lazi, and here is your roundup of the latest developments coming out of Israel. Venezuela's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, is accusing Israel of being behind the U.S. operation that led to the arrest of ousted leader Nicolas Maduro. In a televised address, Rodriguez described the strike on Caracas as Zionist aggression, claiming, without any evidence whatsoever, that Israel directed Washington's actions. Standing alongside senior members of Maduro's inner circle, she said Venezuela was under attack by what she called Zionism and imperialism, language long used by the Chavista regime to blame Israel for international pressure and sanctions. Rodriguez repeated claims that Maduro remains Venezuela's only legitimate president, despite his transfer to U.S. custody, and portrayed Israel as part of a global conspiracy targeting sovereign nations. Such rhetoric has been a hallmark of Venezuela's leadership for years, as the country maintains close ties with Iran and has accused Israel of responsibility for regional and global conflicts. The statements follow a U.S. military operation that seized Maduro in Caracas and flew him to New York, where he now faces federal charges.
Gobiernos del mundo están sencillamente impactados de que sea la República Bolivariana de Venezuela víctima y objeto de un ataque de esta naturaleza que tiene sin duda alguna tinte sionista. Es realmente vergonzoso.
Okay, so that's about all that I want to listen on that. But that's just going to cause more people turning against Israel, even though Israel had absolutely nothing to do with this at all. But they're trying to blame Israel. But that's because they are in bed with Iran. And if you'll remember back around 2016, I seen that black snake, like serpent snake, crawling over the country, like huge snake crawling across the country of Iran on a map. So it was a map of Iran, and it had a huge black serpent snake crawling on its belly across it. So, but anyway, and the snake in the Bible always represents Satan. So we know, God shows us what's right and what's truth, and what we can believe and what we can not believe in the news. Because he'll show us what's really going on. And then, so anyway, so now and then new developing just today, Trump, which I thought this was kind of ironic because it was in the news article from the Atlantic, and God told us to watch the Atlantic Ocean. So, and showed me the submarine. It was like a person going underwater real slow, but the nose was staying above the water, and as it was going under, the nose was like staying up, like the nose was growing and fibbing, like a submarine would go under the water and still have its little whatever that's called that they put up where they can see the surface of the water. But anyway, so anyway, Trump threatens this new leader, this new woman, with fate worse than Maduro's, which is the old leader that they captured. It says needs to comply with U.S. wishes or else. And then it's got, you go down here, and he was talking to her, the one that just was on there blaming Israel. And it says in a telephone interview this morning, President Donald Trump issued a not so veiled threat against the new Venezuelan leader, saying that if she doesn't do what's right, she's going to pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro. And now he's in New York City jail cell. And it goes on and it talks about different things. And it also talks about here during our call, Trump, who had just arrived at the golf club in West Palm Beach, was in evident good spirits and reaffirmed me that Venezuela may not be the last country subject to American intervention. It says we do need Greenland, absolutely, describing the island, a part of Denmark and NATO ally, and as surrounded by Russian and Chinese ships. It says in discussing Venezuela's future, he signaled a clear shift from previous distaste for regimen change. But anyway, if you go on, if you read this could really, really escalate really fastly into war. And I talked about war. Down there around the Panama Canal that was in that map, that God said keep an eye on those countries too, down there, Ecuador, Panama, all of those areas, because that's what I actually seen. I heard the audible voice say 6.1 tsunami Venezuela, and whenever we saw that in the news, to keep an eye on those areas. And then he also told us to watch the Atlantic Ocean. So we're going to have to keep a very close eye on this, because I do believe they are all connected. Everything is all connected together that God shows me. And it's not just like little tidbits of stuff that are random. That's all connected together. So, and I do believe that war is coming, because back a long time ago, whenever the United States made that Iran deal, and a lot of the people was all on board with it across the United States, whenever they voted Obama in, and Obama did that deal with Iran, the Lord, he told me straight up, he said, they have brought war to Israel, and I will bring war to them. So, talking about the United States. So, we will see war on our on our doorstep, whether it's under the Trump administration or the next one that comes in after Trump. So just watch and pray. God's got all of us under his wing. He gave me Psalms 91 years ago that we would be living under the shadow of his wing. So all the ones that belong to God. So just keep praying about this and praying for our brothers and sisters around the world, because it's not just about here in the United States. I mean, this is a whole global, it's going to turn into a whole global conflict before it's all said and done. Um, but I love all of y'all, and I will talk to y'all soon. I just wanted to give y'all kind of an update of what's going on in Venezuela. Since I put that video out, what was that, a little over 3 months ago. So, but anyway, I love all of y'all, and y'all have a good rest of your weekend.